Hey, Willowbrook, welcome to another deep dive into the scriptures. And today we find ourselves in Genesis chapter 8. If you're turning there now, let me just remind you where we've been. We are right in the middle of the story of Noah. Isn't that one of your favorite stories? Man, it's unbelievable how long Noah would take to build the ark. People making fun of him when they saw no rain. God saving just this one family, of course, along with the animals. Well, what's just happened in the previous chapter is we've had the flood, those 40 days and 40 nights of torrential rain. Noah's family, though, they're safe in the ark along with those animals. What's going to happen in chapter 8? Well, before I tell you, I want to tell you this. If you have never considered going to the Ark Encounter, do you know what that is? There's a guy who's really passionate about the biblical creation story and passionate about the story of the flood, and he built a life-size replica of Noah's Ark, and it's on I-65 up in Kentucky. I just took my family there this past year. It was amazing to experience what it could have been like, probably was like for Noah's family. The sights, the smells, just the scope, the grandeur of how big that ark was. There's even fun things like a petting zoo for your kids and stuff like that. I just think anything we can do to make the Bible come alive for our families is pretty cool and worth it. So I want to recommend that. All right. How long was Noah in the ark? That's a big part of chapter 8. How long was it? Would you say 40 days and 40 nights? That wouldn't be right, would it? No, not anywhere near that. And in fact, that is the big theme to me of chapter 8, is that Noah is on the ark for so much longer than it's a topic we don't talk about at church very much. Not anywhere near 40 days or 40 nights. If you do the math, it's going to be either 370 or 377 thereabouts, depending on when you start counting. It's unbelievable. Noah had to wait and wait and wait. And as you read the Bible, it actually brings that out. Like, look in chapter 8, look at verse 10 through 12. It says, he waited, this Noah, he waited 7 more days and again sent out the dove from the ark. When the dove returned to him in the evening, there in its beak was a freshly plucked olive leaf. Then Noah knew that the water had receded from the earth. He waited 7 more days and sent the dove out again. Waited. And these 7 days back to back are way after Noah had to wait months and months and months. What sticks out to me here is that Noah's a man of God, and yet he has to wait on God's timing. That's so hard, is it not? Even if you're experiencing God working in your life, like Noah clearly was in an exceptional way, he still had to wait for God to bring about what God had promised. And so many people of God in the scripture had to do that. David had to wait forever, years and years and years after being anointed king before he would actually become king. Paul, when he spent time in prison, had to wait in prison for God to bring him out. Peter, when he was in prison, we could go on and on and on of how many people of God have had to wait upon God. And you and I are no different. It's tough to do that, isn't it? Waiting can be awkward, at the least. Waiting can be painful at the worst. Time and time again as a pastor, I have people come up to me and they say, how much longer? How much longer for my sickness? How much longer waiting on my spouse to get saved? How much longer on my child to turn back to the Lord? It's one of the hardest things being in the waiting room, waiting on God. But time and time again, we see in the scripture that it's part of God's plan. Sometimes people in the Bible have nicknames. Thomas, he famously doubted right after Jesus' crucifixion and Jesus' resurrection. Jesus allowed him to touch his nail-scarred hands, but sometimes we give him a nickname, don't we? We call him Doubting Thomas. As I read the book of Genesis in chapter 8, man, I think we could call Noah Waiting Noah, because he had to wait for the flood to come. He had to wait even after he got in the boat for the water rain to come. He had to wait in building the ark for so long. That's another thing to study. And now he has to wait for the waters to recede. But he waited and he was faithful to the Lord. And after God came through, He truly worshiped God and gave thanks. Can you do that? It's easier said than done, isn't it? Sometimes in the waiting game, we really struggle with our relationship with God. Continue to seek Him, continue to trust Him, continue to remember that He's in control. I hope you have a great day, Willowbrook.